Hey everyone, here's Nico Renshaw from the Decentraland Foundation with another video about using the Creator Hub. In this video, I want to cover a brand new feature that we just released, which is using custom items. Now, custom items are super exciting because they allow you to basically define your own smart items, which can be interactive in all sorts of ways and include your own custom art and everything, and you can share these with other people. So let's start simple. Let's go into smart items and let's pick one of the existing items, this vertical floating platform. Now this platform by default moves up and down up to a height of 10 meters. Let's reduce that height. And also auto starts and loops, meaning that it will start moving as soon as the scene starts. Let's disable that in our variation so that instead it needs to be explicitly activated to move up and down by some button or whatever. And with this, we now have our very own different version of the floating platform that we have from Smart Items. And I can now right click on it and select Create Custom Item and give it a name. And let's call this my own platform. Notice now that there's a brand new tab down here. In between the asset packs and the local assets tab, there's a tab that will include all of my custom items that I define. And I can just drag this into my scene as I would with, any other smart item in the scene. And as you can notice, it retains the configurations that I did before. And of course, this is just scratching the surface of all you can do with any of these items. You could, of course, go into the advanced mode and I can switch the 3D model to something else that I built myself, or change the sound files, or add actions that make the player perform emotes, or add actions that make the player teleport, or whatever makes sense in the kind of item that I'm trying to build. And we're not just limited to configuring one single entity. So for example, let's take this door frame. I'm gonna add a couple of other things to it. Let's add a door to it. Let's align it neatly with the door frame. And let's also add a button. Now let's configure the door so that it doesn't open on its own. Let's remove this action and change the hover text to locked. And let's configure the button so that it opens the door. So let's pretend I want to do this many times. Maybe I'm building some kind of a game, a dungeon crawler or something, where I want to have this pattern of having a button that opens the door all over the place. And I don't want to have to align the door with the door frame every time or configure the button. I want to just have a single unit, an abstraction that comprises all these three items, and just drag that in. So this is where custom items comes in super handy. So I can just select all three items and right click while having all of them selected and select Create Custom Item. And now I have my own door. And if I add another copy of this, I will have all three items, the door frame, and the button. One thing to keep in mind is that the smart items inside my custom items will reference each other internally. So for example, this button will open this door and this other button will open this other door separately. It's not like all buttons will open the original door from the original copy. Another thing to keep in mind is that if I make changes to the original custom item, these changes do not translate to all of my copies. Even if I add more copies after making the changes, they will still reference the original snapshot I took and not the current state. I can also make changes to each one of my copies independently, and they will not affect each other. Each one is independent from the moment that I drag them into my scene. Another observation I wanted to make was with the nesting of items. So for example, with this door and the button and the door frame, they're all at the same hierarchical level here on the entity list. But what happens if I take something that includes some hierarchy? For example, if I look at this bookshelf here, there is a bookshelf entity that has a few books and a candle and a potion thingy, and the bookshelf is the parent to all of these. So if I right click on the bookshelf alone and I create a custom item, I will create a custom item out of the entire structure. I don't need to select each one of the others manually. So if I create this, Now I can just drag this in and you'll see that it includes all of the children items that were part of the original bookshelf. Now, one little note, you'll notice that the thumbnail doesn't necessarily match what I'm seeing. It's not a picture taken of the entire collection of items, but we're rather reusing one of the thumbnails of one of the items that were nested in there. So bear in mind that the thumbnail might not necessarily be an accurate depiction of the item that you're creating. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you is that these custom items that I created inside this particular scene are now available in all of my scenes. So if I, for example, I come into this other brand new scene, I also have access to all of the custom items that I created before. I can just freely add them like this. And just like I was able to add these in any one of my scenes, I can also now share these custom items with other creators. For now, since we just launched this, the process for sharing your custom items with someone else involves just copying the files manually. In the future, we will be providing better tools that will make this a lot easier. But the process right now is that you need to open the Creator Hub folder. The exact location of this folder varies according to the operating system. Please check out the link in the description that will show you exactly what is the path in each one of the operating systems. In this case, Windows, it will be found in my user/appdata/roaming/Creator Hub. Inside the Creator Hub folder, you will find that there's a custom items folder, and this one will list each one of the custom items that I have defined in my workspace. In this case, there's all 3 that we just made in this tutorial. And if you open any one of these, you'll see that there is a bunch of files, and this includes all of the necessary assets. This involves 3D models, sound files, thumbnails, configuration files, and basically all that is needed to be able to use this custom item is already inside the folder. So if you zip one of these and send it over to a friend, they will be able to just unzip it inside their own custom items folder, and that is all they need to do. With that, the Creator Hub will already detect that they have a brand new custom item in their workspace, and they'll be able to just use it just like you can, and it will be as straightforward as it is for me to just drag this into my scene. So that's all I wanted to share. I hope that you found this as exciting as I did, and I can't wait to see a whole new wave of community-built custom items take Decentraland by storm. Happy building!